So that was the review for the Inter-Napoli match and a lot of discussion about Napoli and Inter with Joseph Fischetti. Moving on, we'll be previewing Inter's match against Spezia, and for that I have one of our usual members, Manish, back with us. So how are you doing, Manish? I'd like to begin with. Of course, I just had our review with Joseph Fischetti about the Napoli match. But I'd also like to get your thoughts in general about the match against Napoli, how it panned out. Just briefly, touch upon the match. What do you think? A lot of Interisti have been saying, the win was not deserved. What's your take on it?
Yes, first of all, thank you, Parmeshwar. I'm glad to be back on the podcast. And yes, Napoli game, I was surprised to see the amount of attacks, surprisingly, by a lot of fans. I don't understand the fans. When we win, they're complaining. When we lose, they're complaining. When we drop points, we complain. And the day, I know it was an ugly win. It was a hard-fought win with a top four opposition. So I would take that with two hands. I'm actually glad with the result, not with the performance, yes, but the result is all that matters. End of the day, if you remember, I think Inter in the Copa semis, the second leg, where we had like exact opposite, exact reverse of this, where we had more possession, we had more shots, and Ospinas, I think, saved the day. He stopped left, right, and center. He stopped everything thrown at him, and they had like I think two or three shots which they scored on a counter, and they qualified for the finals. And we lost the semis. And during that time, I remember there was a lot of attack by the Inter fans towards Inter, saying that we should have taken the result. How can we lose against Napoli and stuff? But now, surprisingly, the tables are turned and we look a bit defensive and we let them take the initiative. So, yes, I'm not complaining much. End of the day, three important points. I would say these type of matches are like 6 pointers, because it's a top four position, taking 3 points off them also. So it's a really good. Now, just 1 point off Milan. All in all, it was a dull, lackluster performance. Yes, I know that it was a hard-fought, ugly win. But if Inter wants to contend for the title, Inter wants to be champions, I would suggest these type of matches are really important. We have to take it. Not always you can play good and champagne football, like they call it. Not always you can do that. There are times where we have to struggle, we have to sweat to get results, and this is one of those matches. Permission. So all in all, very good points, and I'm happy and smiling now. 5 straight wins, so that's really a good result for us.
Yeah, Manish, I'm also actually of the same opinion, in fact, because as Conte pointed out in his post-match press conference, yeah, it can't always be beautiful football. Yeah, the thing is, we aren't playing a relegation team. We were playing Napoli, one of the best in Serie A, title contenders. One of the title contenders, and you know how dangerous they are on the break. With their attack, and they almost scored so many. They hit the post twice. You remember, and if Handanovic didn't save us, that would have been game over. Yeah, and then fans would have complained saying, "Oh, you couldn't beat a 10-man team." So people need to consider that at times you have to suffer to win. You can't always be playing fancy football, champagne football, and getting those results. At the end of the day, for us Scudetto challenge, the 3 points are what matter. So moving on, I want to touch upon, just to cap off the Napoli review, a few things are Gattuso's comments. So basically, Gattuso was a bit annoyed with the red card for Insigne, because what Insigne, just to I guess touch upon the incident, what happened was after we got the penalty, which was in my opinion a fair call. Um, Insigne went up to the ref, got in his face, and told him to f off. Of course, he told him to f off, and I mean that's gonna piss any referee off, and you can't do that. In my opinion, at least, you can't go and abuse the ref. It's not a luxury, yeah. And there's been a lot of debate around it. Maybe Insigne shouldn't have got a red card. Maybe some people, of course, say he was rightly sent off. But Manish, tell me one thing. I compare this to the Arturo Vidal red card against Real Madrid. Vidal didn't and I remember Gattuso, just to add to that, said that this doesn't happen in other leagues. It doesn't happen in the Premier League. He said that specifically, yeah. But if I go back to the Vidal situation, the referee was Anthony Taylor. Yeah, a Premier League referee. And Vidal just got up in his face and was pissed. He didn't abuse Anthony Taylor, but this guy Insigne, he got pissed and he abused the referee against us. So what's your take on it? Like, was it a deserved red card? Do you agree with Gattuso that it shouldn't have been a red card? And also your views whether it was a penalty or it wasn't a penalty.
Yeah, so definitely, if talking about the incident, yes, it's for me it's a red card. because we experienced a lot of times. I think a couple of years back also, long back, I think when you used to sarcastically applaud the referee, you would get card for that, or you kick the ball in frustration, you get card for that. Same thing, dissent or foul language used against the referee, it's very much a card. And not just in Italian league, it's also in the Champions League. We saw with Arturo Vidal's thing what happened when you can't just go and scream at the referee. It makes no sense. So it's deservedly a red card. You cannot go swearing at the referee, be it an Inter player or be it a Napoli player. And we all are professionals. Football players are professionals. They should stick to that. It's not an amateur league where you're playing a second division EPL or third division. Then it's a separate scenario. But now you're playing in the top flight, and a lot of youngsters are watching you. Like they get inspired by you. So if they see they are football players, they are idols swearing, and it would lead a bad example for the league. So I'm glad that this type of offenses should be punished. So all the players should be really careful. Talking about the penalty incident, yes, it was definitely penalty. He completely knocked off with his hand as well as his leg. So there are no complaints of that. I don't think anyone should have a complaint for that. And considering we are Inter, if there was a slight doubt of not a penalty call, VAR would disqualify that. So it's definitely a penalty. And it was at least a good initiative and good thinking by Darman to go for the ball and take it. So all in all, a good performance. And I would say this thing, Lukaku's penalty so far, touch wood, so spot on. I never seen him miss a penalty. He's been taking every other week under pressure. And if you check the last round, I think pretty much it was the keepers who were the stars. Cristiano Ronaldo missed a penalty. Then I think Bologna had a penalty in the 95th minute against the next opposition, Spezia, which again the keeper stopped. So the whole round was like people missing penalties. So going with that run, I'm so happy that Lukaku scored. And Parmesh, I also wanted to touch up one thing. So a lot of fans got annoyed was when Conte did a substitution. He brought in Hakimi for Lautaro. That was one of the main boiling points. I just want to discuss on that. A lot of fans didn't understand why would you do that, but I actually understood the reason behind it, because if you check, Napoli plays heavily on the wings. They play heavily on the wings. And once this guy was sent off, Insignia, so left flank was pretty much empty. And this guy, Marco Rui, the left back, was pushing forward in a very aggressive way. So put that in check, he brought in Hakimi, So, and Lozano also, if you check, Lozano came to the left and Politano came to the right. So they're attacking more towards the wing side. So Conte was smart enough to understand that, but a lot of fans found it, and that was the turning point of the match, because removing Lautaro made them push forward. But push forward from where? Napoli are heavily reliant on the wings. So Conte was trying to secure the wings, saying that they had still a lot of shots in. And Handanovic, I agree, I've been critical about his performance, but last match he did a couple of saves, important saves to stop them scoring. Yeah, Parmeshwar. But all in all, I'm happy with the result.
Yeah, I understand that point of view. And yeah, the substitution also, it did roll a lot of eyes, and yeah, it was controversial. But yeah, your perspective is, yeah, I guess sort of suitable and correct in your way. And what I think people didn't appreciate was the fact that, they saw the simplicity in the substitution, in the sense that if they are down to 10 men, just bring a more balanced substitution in to, keep the
Yes.
pressure on them. But with Hakimi, the thing with Hakimi, I think what disappointed people was he also lost possession a lot of times in that match, like once he came on. So I think that's what worried people. But yeah, I think that's that, and we can move on from that. Just glad that we got the 3 points from that game, and we continue
Yes.
our race for the Scudetto. So just to touch upon before we move to talking about the Spezia match, I wanted to touch upon a few transfer rumors. Of course, as we always do, we have been recently linked with a few eye-raising transfers as usual. So the first news I'd like to discuss is, of course, Perisic possibly being linked with Man United once again. Of course, that was a thing years ago when he really was close to leaving. But we at that time we really needed him. Like we really needed Ivan Perisic.
All right.
But that's one. The second, uh, I don't know how to say this. We're being linked with Gazette. Sorry, we are being linked with Graziano Pella. And the thing is, I know the source reporting this is Gazzetta dello Sport. They're pretty hit and miss. But what worries me is that Conte does get these kind of players. Yeah. So if if Inter can't buy a Vice Lukaku like from via spending, they could just get him because I was reading that in China they've introduced a 3 million wage cap, so all these players will be shipped out now. So it really worries me that
But
graduate.
correct me if I'm wrong, Graziano Pelle is the highest paid player in the world. If I'm like
No,
top
no,
two
no,
or
no,
top
no.
three, I think.
He's not the highest anymore. That was a thing for a very brief moment. But yeah, Manish, that
Right.
really worries me that he could be here because it reminds me, once again a dead like regressed player, pretty much finished player coming here. That's the second one. The third one is, of course, I want to ask. It's more of an opinion-based question. Is what I want to ask you is regarding Rajan and Golan. He's supposedly going to be on the bench against Spezia, but there is a possibility that Inter could offer him for an exchange with Alessio Cranio, whom we have seen can make really top saves. So those are the three rumors. And one last thing to cap off, I want your thought is that if Perisic goes, we are yet again being linked with Emerson Palmieri. Of course, yet another transfer rumor that is debatable. So just give me your thoughts on all these four rumors that I've asked you about.
Yes. So I think which was the first one we spoke about? It was Perisic to Manchester United, right? Yes. So Perisic, yes, Perisic. I think 2 or 3 years back he was linked to us, linked with leaving Inter, and at that point Perisic was vital part in our 4-3-3 formation. He was like for the untouchable his position was, and he was top of his game if not mistaken because the World Cup finals he went in, and he was very valuable for us. So at that point we didn't want to sell him at the bargain. Although now I would think any offer over excess of 10 million Inter would happily ship him out. One is age is catching up, and the second thing is uh, its performance market value will drop considerably if you don't if we keep him. And his salary is also very hefty. It's around 4.5 million, which is quite high. So if that situation is, do we sell him or not? I would suggest we have to sign a replacement first because our left wing back has been really not that great. Ashley Young, I won't say he is very good, but I really don't know his performance. Like he doesn't do anything much to contribute offensively. Yeah, he's been a little bit defensively, yes, but offensively, I don't see much giving assists or going crosses. All I can see is he does a couple of tricks and then pass back, and he does a lot of horizontal passes back. So I'm really confused. We need a good, proper left wing back. That is one thing. If we sell Perisic, Perisic seems only offensive threat on the left side unless we go for Alonso from Chelsea or Goosens would be the perfect dream for us on the left wing. Atlanta's Goosens, but that also seems highly unlikely getting him on January, considering Atlanta's qualified to the next round of Champions League. They have the money now, so they wouldn't budge into selling. So if Perisic saying that if they give good value, uh, I would suggest yes, we have to sell him because it's no point. He has adjusted to the position again. He's not been effective. So if that's good value for Manchester United, I would suggest yes, we have to sell him, and we need a good cover on that left side. If we're selling with that cash, we can buy in. Then talking about Graziano Pelle, really, I really don't want the guy anymore. He's been a disaster to watch for Italy. I've seen him perform. It's not that great. I think he went to Chinese league, and for a brief period, like you said, he was the world's highest paid player, getting salary around 20 million or something. It was really insane. So that guy seems I would happily keep Pinamonti in the bench rather than using Graciano Pele. And now I'm also worried Edo should not come back now. Whatever happens, I don't want to see that guy back in an Inter shirt. So as long as we can stay away from these Italian players, which I think Conti pretty much likes, players like Graziano Pelle, Eder, Simeone, Zaza. These are some of his old boys he played with in Italian squad. I would suggest if you're getting a backup, go for Oliver Giroud. He's old, he's experienced, and he's a very good backup. He can hold the play, and he played under Conti's formation also. So I would say he won't cost much, but that would be a very good signing for us. Very very vital signing for us. And talking about the Rajan Nainggolan position, Rajan Nainggolan, for me, last season, 2 years seasons back when he joined us, I was one of the happiest guys. Like when we got Nainggolan, because this guy for years we've been dreaming about his signing, and he's given it all for Roma whenever he played against us. So the moment when we got him, I was really happy. And we had the right coach, Luciano Spalletti, because Spalletti and Nainggolan, the combo was really deadly. But he didn't perform for us that well because of his consistent injuries and his work ethics and his party lifestyle. Uh, saying that now this season under Conte, expected him to get back in the starting lineup, but so far I'm not impressed with what I've seen. And we really don't have suitable players on the bench. Like Conte said, there are some names just for namesake. I think he's clearly referring to Ericsson, and one of them is Lane Gulan. So that signing again, there's no point keeping him again on hefty wages. Is It's better to ship him out. I like the guy Cragno. Like I said in my last podcast, I think that swap would really make sense. Getting Cragno this season itself, so Cragno can be like an understudy to Handanovic this season. Can learn from the master himself, and can play in the Copa matches for us. So I wouldn't be surprised if we have like two good keepers, and we can loan Filip Stankovic out on a smaller team. So yes, that transfer really makes sense to me. And yeah, that's my take on the transfers.
Also, Manish, just one more, I think, which you missed out was Emerson Palmieri because he's being linked with us yet again. Like, apparently, Conte still wants him. So, just to cap off the transfer links, would you be happy with Emerson Palmieri as the Perisic replacement, basically?
Not at all, not at all. Emerson Palmieri is really ineffective. I think he hardly featured for Chelsea this season, and they got a new left back, Chilwell, who's been performing every other week for Chelsea. So Palmieri again, it's an Italian player, and Conte likes these type of players, which I think it's not an upgrade from last season's Biragi. We might as well kept Biragi, or in that case, I think Dalbert's position also in the club is not very good. So I heard Dalbert and Kendrick are both wing backs might be back with us in January. Ken Rivas funny situation where I heard he's coming back to us. And similar situation in Dalbert, I believe. He's not in good terms with his coach, and they're not using him and they want to send back. So we always struggle to sell players. That's been one of our weakness. That's the reason why I'm saying we have to sell Perisic, because if we don't sell when the time is right, all these players will be like a pain for us to sell them off later on with hefty wages. It'll be like the scenario of Juventus, where they had a lot of the old guys in the squad and they were struggling to sell them out. Mandzukic, Matuidi, Sami Khedira, Higuain, all this like 33 plus players, 33 years old plus, and with heavy salary, and no other club wants them. So we don't want to be in that scenario. So might as well get rid as in Nenkola and Perisic are pretty much that age now with the hefty salary. So if the market is right, as long as they have some value with them, it's better to send them on a swap deal or get some cash, the last bucks. But saying that Emerson Palmieri, for me, it's definitely, I don't want that guy. I don't want to see him anywhere near Milan, see him.
Yeah, so that was, of course, those transfer rumors wrapped up. But Manish, since you brought up the Kandreva situation, I'd just like to elaborate a bit on that. With Dalbert to begin with first, actually with Dalbert, yeah, he's fallen out of favor at Rennes, and I hope they don't terminate his loan in January. I really hope, but it is a possibility. Unfortunately, that's just bad luck, like, because we did loan him out, but it's just bad luck. Yeah. Coming to the Candreva situation, I've been someone who's been critical of Piero Ozilio, and I feel that Ozilio only improved after Beppe Marotta came in, because we have clearly seen the changes, and I think with his guidance he's become smarter. But I still see these lapses on his end, because you look at the Pinamonti deal, we made a verbal agreement to get him back, right? That was Ozilio. That's one. Now, when I liken this to the Candreva situation, the deal was a loan plus obligation to buy. Yeah. And I don't understand that how being Inter, how can you not make the obligatory terms simple? Like, I don't get it. The obligation states apparently that Candreva's deal only becomes an obligation when Sampdoria pick up their first points in February. So what kind of a deal is that? Like all you had to do is probably maybe space the payment out and make it a simple obligation. Why would you wait until February to make it an obligation? Yeah. So because of that, now Manish, the situation is he's apparently has some issues with Claudio Ranieri. So that could mean that if he doesn't apologize, they could just terminate his loan and he's back at Inter. So we are back to square one where we have a issue of loaning or / selling players again. Yeah. So I'm really unhappy with this situation, Manish, because come on, I personally thought we were done with Kandrev. I appreciate how he stepped up last season, but I was pretty much done with him. I was pretty happy we moved on. But again, we could see him back, and then to fire a club willing to loan him, or to buy him is another challenge. So I hope when it comes down to the Candreva situation, it's Beppe Marotta negotiating with the owner directly, that is Massimo Ferrero, and getting something done. Find a third club to dump him, or convince him to stay there, because come on, we can't have so many players, right? Conte was done with Candreva, and we saw that in the Europa League run. You remember he was constantly benched. You remember before the Europa League run, he was a favorite. Conte loved him. In the Europa League run, he didn't use him at all. So that's the unfortunate situation of Candreva apparently coming back. So that's about Candreva. Like, we can't do much, I guess. But looking at that, I just wanted to touch upon another situation of a player we have loaned out, in fact, to the team we'll be facing this weekend, Spezia. Lucian Agume,
Right.
the young talent,
I
we
wanted to know about that, about the Gume situation. That was very interesting. We sent him out to Spezia. So, what do you know, Parmeshwar? How has his loan been so far? Like, have you seen his performance? Has he been playing? Is he the star man of the team? What do you suggest? Like, what do you reckon? Like, how far the season has gone for him?
So it's a tricky one, Manishi. When Spezia, this is their first ever season in their history in the Serie A, okay? And I've been actually, been a pretty decent recruitment strategy in my opinion. They've mixed experience of players who have been in this area, like Diego Farias and all. And they brought in a few good young talents. Like, you have Tommaso Pobega from AC Milan. He's one of the brightest talents who actually lit up the Serie B last season. So he's there. He's doing a good job. Now we come to Lucien Agume, our player, not our Primavera product per se, but he's been there for a year now, and he's a really mature kid. Yeah, he's captained the French under 17 team. He's really composed. And if you remember, Manish, he did play a few games due to our injury crisis last season for us. And yes, you could see that maturity in him, that to a point where people wanted him to play over Gagliardini. Yeah. So the thing right now, the issue at Spezia has been that this guy just wants to play. He just wants to play as any other kid, but his agent is really unhappy because he's not gotten enough chances, not gotten the amount of time promised to him and the time agreed with Inter so far, because he apparently was supposed to at least have been in the starting 11 way more times than what he has been currently. So it is a really big issue, and his agent did call the club out on that. So the thing is, it personally, yeah, I mean, it is a 50-50 situation, Manish, because you want your players to do well, right? Especially the young ones when they're on loan. Because, Manish, tell me realistically, it's been really long since we, of course, forget Bastoni aside, but it's been a long time since we have had, a player go out on loan from the academy, do well, come back, start for Inter. Yeah.
And plus, with this guy, Agume, one thing why he's so hyped up is because he was considered to be the next Pogba. And it's Conti who launched Pogba as a young 19, 18-year-old kid. So bright things to expect out of Agume, because when they signed him also, it's exactly, he has build, his height, his body features, everything is like similar to Pogba. That's why the hype is there. Yeah, sorry, carry on, Parmeshwar.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good this thing note point, Manish. Actually, he does resemble Pogba in a way. Also, I would like to point out one thing is that I was reading a few rumors by reliable sources in the form of Sport Bild, German outlet, which said that Bayern Munich could be apparently interested in Lucien Agume. Maybe for the academy teams, of course, not for the first team, they are packed. But it goes to show, if Bayern are interested, they do really. It goes to show Agume's caliber in terms of being a talent, yeah, in terms of his potential. So if this is what is continuing at Spezia, then I think Inter really need to look into this. And Manish, just to cap off before we preview Spezia, all this comes down to the fact that, in my opinion, Piero Ozilio needs to manage the whole situation better in terms of transfers. I know he has a deputy assistant for youth transfers, Dario Baxin, but still, these two guys need to step up. Now, I read the other day, I'll just point something out, that Diego Milito has left Racing Club recently, Argentinian club, and he's left them in such a good position that they're doing well in the Copa Libertadores equivalent, of course, of the Champions League of South America. But they're in a position to win that competition, and he's recruited players in a way, and he's made that club stable. Diego Milito has done that, being the technical director over there. When I saw that news that he left Racing Club, I just tweeted saying that Inter get him, because I'm done with Ozilio, man. Like, I'm personally done with this guy, because you remember the Joao Mario transfer was all Piero Ozilio, and I can't forgive him for that. And just because Beppe Marotta has, made him look better, I personally feel Inter here needs to make some managerial changes. As a whole, they need to look at the fact that Diego Milito can do a job. And, of course, we all know about Milito. So you can have Milito, Zanetti, working with the club again. You never know, it might work. So that's just something I wanted to touch upon. I personally feel this change needs to be made. Yeah. So yeah, I think we should cap on and move on from that, and we could look at the Spezia match to just to cap it off. So I just want your thoughts, Manish. Of course, our morale right now is going. It's all on the right side. Yeah, everything's going fine. We just have to focus on this area. So how do you see us going into this match? Because we had to suffer against Napoli, as Conte said. But I guess if you look at Spezia, who are sitting on the bottom half of the table, you think do you think this game is where we should assert our authority or still continue with the same approach, just i- considering the fact that that is our best approach and helps us get results, even though it's against a team like Spezia?
No, so what happens is against smaller positions, obviously Conte will go out attack. He might go for Hakimi on the right and Perisic on the left. And I won't be surprised if Ericsson still starts this game because this type of matches, it's where the teams come to San Siro with 10 men behind the ball. They're going to try to shut down all spaces and they'll try to defend with their lives out. So this type of matches, which I think Conte won't take a sit back approach. He will definitely go in the offensive mode on this. But saying that we are coming off with 5 consecutive victories, it's been a really long time in the league since we've done that. And all in all, I feel the result is because I think of the back three. Ever since we went Skriniar, De Vrij, Bastoni, I think now they've gone 7 consecutive matches, this same three at the back line. And you could see the difference. We've been conceding a little lesser goals, and the team's foundation, the base is strong. And then, we can build it up in the offense. Like you said, our was quite strong. We scored the highest amount of goals in the league. Only thing has been allowing leaky goals. So for that, against Spezia, I think now is where we should show our strength. We're coming off with a very good result, so the pressure is off. And now a lot of people are saying, should we heavily rotate the squad and stuff? I've been reading a lot of news that Inter must rotate, give chance to a lot of players, which I think no, we must not do that yet because Inter, this team, the formation is being consistent. We recently changed 3-5-2, and yes, we might have to rest some of the back three. Yes, because the back three, like I said, played 7 consecutive games with the same back three. So I think Ranocchia is the most likely is been touted by the media to start the game. I won't be surprised if D'Ambrosio starts too in this game. So pretty much is a give a rest to our back three. But this is a game where again we must not take them lightly, yeah, because see they have nothing to lose, Spezia. They have absolutely no pressure. They come to San Siro with no expectation. So that's a tricky game. So we must not take, okay, we're playing with a weak opposition and just come with the overconfidence that should never be there. I hope Conte instills that in the team. Yeah. So it should go from the first minute. Even though we're leading 2-0, go for the third goal. It should not be a laid back approach. Okay, once we score the first goal, sit back and defend. That should not be the approach. Yes, so I'm expecting a lot from Lautaro because this season he has been misfiring. And the last couple of matches, I think Napoli game, you see this guy is really, for some reason, he's getting a lot of chances, but he's not able to score. And it's been really worrying for us. Also in the Champions League. So this type of matches is where he should play and give him the full 90 minutes. Now that Sanchez is injured, and Sanchez, it's another story always. This guy cannot play 90 minutes at all. The moment we put him in 90 minutes, that's it. I think his game time is only 60 minutes. That's the max he can play. Over that, you could see him getting injured and stuff. So we saw him, Sanchez going out with injury. So pretty much again, it's going to be Lautaro and Lukaku to start the front line. The back three, I think two of them are going to rest. De Vrij might rest and the Bastoni might rest. So D'Ambrosio, Skriniar, and Ranocchia might play this game. The midfield has been a tricky one because Vidal is seemingly fit for this game. Nainggolan's back to the squad. So all in all, I'm not expecting a lot of changes from Conte. He has to do changes, but not much. But saying that, Parmeshwar, I think we should definitely go out for the offense with offensive wingers with Hakimi and Perisic on the right and left wing. That's my approach I would use.
Yeah, you mentioned starting 11 and what our approach should be, Manish. I'd just like to point out how basically Spezia, set up, who are the key players and all. So of course, from what I've seen Spezia so far and a bit of last season in Serie B, but I don't think that's reflective of what is to come. So one of their key players I'd like to touch upon is Mbala Enzola. He's the striker. He's Angolan, one of the it's rare Angolans found in Serie A. He's already racked up 6 goals. That's pretty impressive for a side that is sitting 16th on the table. And I personally feel the fact that the table, of course, they sit 16th on the table is not representative of how they actually have played in matches. Because this is a very daring team, no matter where they play, away, home. Of course, that doesn't matter much with no fans, but they've they don't they aren't afraid of taking it to their opposition whenever they want to. Like I remember, I watched them against Atalanta this season. They held Atalanta to a 0-0 draw at home this season, and Atalanta is a very free scoring team. So if Spezia can hold them, we can't count them out because these guys play a sort of a fluid brand of football. They're 4-3-3. They're not afraid of pressing, but the only weakness about this side is that when they press, they often tend to lose their shape. That's where they've ended up conceding a lot of goals. They lose their shape, they lose their organization. That's what happened against Juventus when Juventus took the lead. They equalized, but then they fell apart. Once Ronaldo came on, they failed to mark him, and they completely fell apart. So they're a very interesting side to watch, I must say. Of course, we are into, on our form, and of course, of the quality of the team, we'll be expected to win, and we should win. But I'm not going to take Spezia lightly. Like from what I've watched this season, they're very exciting. You have strikers like Mbala and Zola, and it's a pretty decent side. One of their key defenders, of course, they're going to have a big miss against us. One of the key defenders in Julian Chabot is going to be missing through suspension, if I'm not wrong, and they're already missing. I think that's those are the key absentees in general. So, but all I must say, Manish, just looking into this game, is that this team should not be underestimated at all because they can take it to any team. They thrashed Benevento 3-0. They've held Atalanta. They've got some decent results in the bag. So no way we can underestimate them. And with that being said, of course, we need to keep our run going. Yeah, like we can't afford to be dropping points against Spezia. Like if we can beat Sassuolo 3-0 at the end of the day, we cannot be dropping points against Spezia. And if I had to probably pick 11 to what you said, Manish, I'll just come back to you in a second. I guess D'Ambrosio should start this one or maybe not because when I see Spezia's front three, D'Ambrosio starting doesn't really inspire me. So I would stick to Skriniar, in fact. And in the center, and with him, I would have Ranocchia and Bastoni. I think left wing back, it's only fair if we give Perisic a chance in this one. Right wing back, I know it'll be too offensive, but I'll start with Hakimi because he didn't start against Napoli. And in midfield, I'm going to go with, since Vidal is back apparently. So Vidal, I think Barella should get a rest. I think that kid deserves some rest. Come on. So Vidal, Gagliardini, and Brozovic is rumored to be fine. So if that's the case, Brozovic, or I would take a punt on Ericsson. I would try that risk. And of course, front two, we don't have a choice. Yeah, Alexis is out until next year, early next year. So I guess it's going to be Lautaro Lukaku. Yeah, and that's pretty much it, Manish. I think we capped off the Spezia preview, the lineups. Just before we end, since we were looking at the 11, do you think this is a match where Radu should start?
No, I wouldn't give Radu yet a chance because see, this game should not be taken for granted. Man, Conte is a smart coach. I don't think he will do a lot of changes like people expect, and that'll affect the team chemistry and the team. Now the team is comfortable with the back three has been pretty much the same last 7 games. That's why one of the reasons why I said we won 5 consecutive matches, and I wouldn't expect Conte to do a lot of changes in that. If you change the back three, change the defenders, all of a sudden change the keeper, all of a sudden the mix-up will happen, and we might concede, surprisingly lose points. So I wouldn't expect Raju to start this game. He might start in the Copa games, the beginning round of Copa, but definitely not this next match. Handanovic is definitely going to be on the post. That's for sure.
So with that being said, Manish, just to cap things off, what is your prediction of this match, considering the fact that of course we can to the luxury, use our key players. Of course, UCL is over and we are out of it. We can use our key players. Keep that in mind. Spezia have one key absentee, two in fact, and but they still have their star striker. And as I said, they are a daring team. Of course, they will leave gaps, but they will take it to us. I'm pretty sure. If I'll be surprised if they don't. So considering all those factors, what do you predict the scoreline to be?
See, like I said, Spezia is coming with zero pressure. They have nothing to lose this match. So for them, they'll just play the football. But what worries is they sit back with 10 men and we are finding difficulty to break them. So Conte must take a bit offensive approach because this type of matches we have to score in the first 30 or 40 minutes. Then you can see a massive score line. But if I struggle to score and then they hit us in a corner or a counter, then we might even draw or lose points. So saying that in mind, I expect Conte to go aggressive in this match, and it's one of the easier round fixtures. Playing at San Siro, I'm I've been negative in the results, but now I'm going for a win. I'm going for a 3-0 win to Inter, with Lautaro finally breaking his duck and Lukaku to score a brace.
Interesting one, Manish. With all those factors considered, yeah. I mean, as you said, this is a match where at times when you assert your authority on other teams, it elevates the self-esteem of the team as well. You can't always suffer and win. Yeah, sometimes it's fine, right? Especially against the mid-table to low-table teams, you need to do better when you assert your authority. And with that being said, I would really, as you pointed out, Lautaro, you hope that Lautaro scores. I really want that because he needs to break his duck. He had a terrible miss against Napoli as well. That should have been a goal. It could have cost us yet again. So with all those things considered, I'm going for let's say a 3-1 win or a 2-0 win, something like that, something along those lines. So yeah, that was pretty much it, folks, for our preview for the Spezia game. Let's hope Inter can continue this winning run, and we look forward to we'll catch you on the flip side again before we preview the Hellas Verona match. So yeah, do subscribe to our channel, and thanks.